I seem jet lagged, it's because I am, because I just flew in a couple of hours ago. Anders asked me to help set up this workshop and to talk about a few points on what issues and what archives, what issues do we face moving forward, what opportunities do we face moving forward, where will we be in 5 years? And I'm breaking every Coca-Cola rule. I'm not using a PowerPoint presentation. At Coke, you don't speak unless you have a deck. I don't have a deck. I just have 3 points that I wanted to talk about. And it's a really interesting time for me to be making these remarks because Coke is actually going through a corporate restructuring right now. And for the first time in 20 years, the archives will report to a new manager. We just found out on Monday who the managers are going to be. And so it's interesting to see. So when I sketched out the 3 points, the first is going to be a little bit depressing. I see, particularly in America, more so than in Europe, a great deal of economic pressure to justify an archives. We've seen, Becky's here, Mondelez is shuttered, Kraft is shuttered. Some of the long-term institutional programs are going through massive change because the economic force driving these companies and driving value is not being shown as well. In Coke's case, before I left to come here, I had to write out 7 reasons. I was limited to 7, I couldn't say any more. 7 reasons why the Coca-Cola Company archives was critical to the Coca-Cola Company. And that's a really tough exercise to do. And particularly in an era of shrinking budgets, massive force, maniacal force to cut cost. In America, we know it well, but the 3G model of buying a company, driving all the costs out of that value chain, and then repositioning it as a growth and value stock. In America in particular, that's what the economic model is. And how do you justify your archives program in that phase? So for me, the last couple of days and doing this exercise on Monday, it was funny, the #1 bullet point that I wrote was information managers able to present information in a strategic fashion for marketing, corporate, and PR. And that's essentially, we've got a great collection. For those that saw it in Atlanta last year, I've got 1,000 paintings. We have all this great stuff. But at our essence, if we can't produce valuable information in a strategic way, we're not doing our job. And for me, it was a step change in the way to think about the Coca-Cola Company archives. The second one is interesting too, because I've seen it a great deal, and I'm curious. Primarily with the European archivists, I don't think you'll face this as much as the US archivists, but with the millennial generation and the demand for transparency, the WikiLeaks era, there's a drumbeat that is growing saying that archives should be open to the public. I see our table of American archives. I would doubt that any of y'all's archives are open to the public. I know ours aren't, and I get countless requests for them. In Europe, I know the model is it's different a lot of the time. But in America, the archives are closed. And I can feel the shift coming. We may well end up in the future having to open up the archives just because in this era of everybody having information at their phone, the millennial generation demanding instant access, there's a different feel in the air. So it's a change that you can sense coming. The third is a positive. The #2 bullet point that I wrote on my list is that we are the keepers of the content with the new emerging market or the new emerging technologies, the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the different web portals. We hold millions and millions and millions of pieces of content that if we treat them right, they can be activated. The Throwback Thursday on Instagram, the Coke Archives section on the Coca-Cola Company website is the 2nd most visited area of the website. First is jobs. Everybody wants a job. And 2nd is heritage. And these are native searches coming in from Google or coming in from Yahoo or the few people that use Bing. They're coming into archives or they're coming into the Coke website on the heritage portal, and it's because we're offering real value. Anybody want to take a guess at #3? You'll never get it. Recipes, Coca-Cola cakes. Once again, it's the cultural things that make people happy that are the drivers. Nobody comes to Coke's website looking for our sustainability mission. They don't care. You're supposed to do that. But they want the recipes and they want to know how much the bottle is they dug up in their backyard. And it's interesting to me, but I really see the web as being a place that all of our archives can begin to show the content in a real and meaningful way, increasing value to the company and further justifying the role of the archives within that company. So Anders was that quick. He said, do 5 minutes and 3 bullet points. The first, depressing. I really think that, in particular, American archives are going to face increasing pressure, and you're going to have to really do a strategic look at why you exist and how you add value to the company. Thank you.